So our presentation is on why the Knight's Tale is not pro-feminism, and it is by Victoria, Andre, and Ryan. So to begin, what is feminism? Feminism is the belief that men and women should be treated equally, whether it be politically, socially, or economically. Currently, there is more emphasis on women's equality than men's equality, as women are not given the same rights and freedoms as men. Throughout history, women were paid less, given less opportunities for success, and treated as objects rather than human beings. To continue, there were always double standards when it came to males and females. A common example is if a man sleeps around with many women, he is considered as a player, or as in this case, Prince Charming, while if a woman sleeps around with many men, she is considered as a whore. Some common examples of feminism includes the ideas that women should do the more caring work, like being a nurse, while men should do the harder work with more labor, like being an engineer. It brings up the question of why is it that women or men should have to do something just because of their gender. Another example is when people say, you can't do that because you're a boy or a girl. It also brings up another question. Why is it that males or females cannot or should not do something just because of their gender? Now, to continue, some types of feminism that we'll be touching on in this presentation is cultural feminism, radical feminism, and socialist feminism. Cultural feminism is a type of feminism that focuses on the physical and obvious differences between men and women, such as physique and personality. For instance, men are considered to be stronger than women, while women are deemed as more emotional and kinder individuals. Radical feminism is a type of feminism that believes that society must be changed in which male supremacy is to be eradicated from all aspects, whether it be economically or socially. Radical feminists view society as a society where men have power and authority over women. And finally, socialist feminism is a type of feminism that emphasizes the inequality and oppression of women in a capitalist economic system. For instance, women do not make as much money as men or given the same opportunities for power roles. And so the thesis of this movie, of our presentation, is that the movie A Knight's Tale, falls short of its feminist ideals due to its objectification of women and the patriarchy present, which ultimately leads it to be an anti-feminist movie.
So, how the movie tries to be pro feminism. So, within the movie A Knight's Tale, there's Kate the blacksmith who takes on a role, obviously, as a blacksmith. Um, and this role is not a traditional female role due to it's a very physically demanding job. And in a patriarchy, women are considered to be delicate. However, in the movie, we see Kate, who is a female, obviously taking up this role and excelling at it. Um, and obviously, we also have Jocelyn, who is a woman with a very strong personality, who either wants her way and her schedule to be followed or nothing at all. However, despite these two examples and characters present within the movie, ultimately it fails and can be seen as an anti-feminist movie due to the ideals from a patriarchy that are present, and these ideals oppress women's roles and send them back to their more traditional or sort of roles, objectify them and cause them to be viewed as the other are present. So, first thing we're going to be talking about is your traditional gender roles. So, in the movie, women are given no real power roles and rather given the roles that are similar to the traditional roles within a patriarchy. So, this can be seen as the roles of being a cook, a housewife, or anything to do with sort of looking after the children. So, during the movie, you can, if you see the earlier parts where William is walking into the city, you can see that most of the women within the shots have kids on their arms. Maybe they're holding them just before he's about to compete for his very first joust. Uh, so, an example of this specifically of a woman being sort of kept confined to her traditional role in a patriarchy. It can be seen through Watt's lover or ex lover. So Watt is William's friend, and he mentions when he's writing his love letter that she used to be a cook for the Duke of York, and this is just an example that even though there are two very uh, untraditional women who sort of embody the feminist ideals through Jocelyn and Kate, they are ultimately the only women throughout the movie who embody those ideals due to the rest, whenever a woman is mentioned, to end up being placed or mentioned with ideas related to patriarchy. So here's the video clip.
To cook for the Duke of York.
To further mention, Jocelyn's servant is also a female, and as I mentioned earlier, females throughout the movie are usually seen with children who are going through the city. So as you can see, no female that is mentioned in the movie or seen in the movie is given a real power role, and most of them are sort of confined to their original housewife or cook related roles. So next, we have the objectification of women, and throughout the movie, Jocelyn has been seen as a prize to be won by William and Cal Adamar. Adamar describes her as a real thoroughbred trophy, and her beauty is constantly being mentioned throughout the movie. So, the fact that she's being objectified as sort of a prize to be won is another example of patriarchy ideals being present, because she's seen nothing more than just a trophy that will stand beside them and look pretty after they've won, which is why they care a lot about her beauty. Another example of this is when William is asked by Jocelyn if he cares if she is ugly or not, and he replied with yes before changing his answer, sensing it was the wrong one. This shows that women are seen nothing more than, as I mentioned earlier, a prize by men, and that the more beautiful they are, the higher their value of a prize is, and that's essentially the reason why William is fighting so hard to get her, because of how beautiful she is, not because he rather enjoys the type of person that she is. And this can be seen as as a form of objectification and looking at women as if they were considered to be sort of meat, because obviously the prettier meat is in a store, the more likely you are to want it.
Where feminism is not present in A Knight's Tale. When we first meet Jocelyn, we see that she is wearing all white, which resembles virginity, purity, and her being in general a good girl. Her first interaction with William was located in a church, and that just further adds on to her innocence. And although William calls her Angel, Aphrodite, Venus, and flirts with her, she is not interested in him because she is a strong, independent woman. But as the plot thickens, near the end, when she falls in love with William, she loses that self-power and says, "I, Jocelyn, your prize." So she objectifies herself as his prize and something that he earned or used. Next, we could see that women are not really looking at the tournament. They're not in the audience. And when they are with kids. So it just kind of goes on to that traditional role of women that although men can go and have fun, if they want to have fun, they still have to do all their duties. The next one is, there's not many scenes where women are alone. There is always one male figure in a scene. And the only scene where there was only females is when Jocelyn was talking to her servant. But we can't really consider that a female scene because they are talking about William. So although he is not present in the room, he is still involved in the whole scene. Next, we could see a quote that the Black Knight said, "Trophies, horses, and women." And that just kind of shows that although women do so much work, they are still seen as less than horses, animals. So they really aren't as adored by society as they should be. And lastly, there's the scene where William is trying to find his father, and he sees this little girl by her house. And during this whole time, the little boys are actually going and watching all the knights come in. And that little girl is covered in dirt and sitting at her home. That just shows that at a young age, they are training girls to stay at home and do all the boring stuff while boys can go and have fun and dream to be a knight. There's 2 female power roles, Jocelyn and Kate. So Kate is a female blacksmith, which is very rare in that time. And although she is good at what she does, she is still belittled by the other blacksmiths. She worked hard to fix William's armor, and in fact, she was pretty intelligent on how to fix it. She used a much lighter and thinner metal, yet it was still just as strong. So although the males are more dominant in that job, she used her brain to make the armor better. Next is Jocelyn. So Jocelyn is in general a dominant character. She says, her servant tells her, "Bed him well, milady." And basically, Jocelyn gets what Jocelyn wants. So we could see that when William was asked to dance his own country dance, Jocelyn quickly stepped in and started leading him in a dance. So she is not afraid to take control of any scene. She also controls William by telling him to lose the tournament, because the only thing other men want is to win her as a prize and win the tournament, because they only gain from it. She wanted to truly see him lose in order to gain her. But then halfway through, she decided to switch it. So even though William was already losing, he felt like he needed to win just to claim Jocelyn. And lastly, you can see Jocelyn being very dominant right at the end of the tournament when William wins. She goes and kisses William in front of everyone. So not only did she make the first move at that moment, but she also did something that was very unroyal. Because as we could see today, the royal family isn't seen holding hands and, God forbid, kissing. So in this time, it was very weird to see her just go up to him and kiss him. And these power roles don't really work out. So although this movie claims to be feminist, it's really not. Because Kate, the blacksmith, only helped William because he promised to take her to Paris. And throughout the whole movie, she did not speak that much. The only thing that she did that was memorable is help William learn how to dance. And that still shows that men are controlling a female in order to get what they want. Next, we can see that once Jocelyn starts falling in love, she kind of loses her dominance. She says she will go to London with William because she loves him. And because she's following her heart, she loses her brain. So run, do it for love. When William is supposed to be arrested, she tells him to run away with her, and she's very irrational about this whole scene. But guess who? She doesn't really know William, because what she knew is she knew him as the knight he claimed to be, not as the Thatcher's son. But while William was supposed to be arrested, he decided that he's going to claim to his wrongdoing. He says, "I'm a knight." And that is very prideful. So he really chooses pride over the love for Jocelyn. And this is a conclusion on how feminism did not work in A Knight's Tale and why it shouldn't be considered a feminist movie. Thank you.